It is time to turn the page. Week 2 is upon us. 49ers-Rams down at SoFi. You're going to have the top 2 quarterbacks in the game after Week 1 in QBR. Brock Purdy, number 1 in the NFL. Matthew Stafford, number 2. As you could tell, Jackson Square, North Beach, that green building, the Flatiron building behind me, that belongs to Francis Ford Coppola, director of The Godfather. And then tilt up here, see the top of the Transamerica Pyramid. Cool little corner here, San Francisco. Cafe Prague actually used to be right here on Pacific, Kearney, and Columbus. Anyway, the 49ers are 1-0. The Rams are 1-0. This is an initial preview. And, between the Aaron Rodgers injury last night, which happened in large part due to poor pass protection over the 4 snaps that he was in there, the Jets couldn't block. They were trying those cut blocks at tackle, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't getting rid of the football quickly enough. I think there's already some controversy about that. There was a report that said that Aaron Rodgers didn't like the way that the Jets had schemed up some of that blocking, and it ultimately was a big factor in his injury, the Achilles injury that happened on his 4th play as a New York Jet. But between the fact and the fact that the 49ers-Rams games last year were heavily determined by the Rams' struggles along the offensive line, and the fact that the 49ers only defined weakness in Week 1 was pass protection on the right side of the offensive line, you've got to say that O-line play is the lead entering this game against the Rams. Just go back to Week 4 of last year. The Rams' offensive line was a jumbled mess. I tweeted it out right here. I have it in front of me because I don't even remember some of the guys that they had up there. They were so injured in Week 1 of that season, the Rams were, and they gave up 28 pressures over something like 50 dropbacks for Matthew Stafford. Obviously, they didn't have a chance in this game. They had they had Joseph Noteboom at left tackle, Bobby Evans at left guard, Jeremiah Colon at center, a guy that nobody had ever heard of. Alaric Jackson was at right guard, and Rob Havenstein was at right tackle. So Havenstein was a fixture, but everybody else was either playing out of position or we had never heard of them before, and the 49ers completely dominated the Rams. In Week 8, the Rams were a little bit better. Probably a lot better, because the Week 4 performance was arguably one of the worst offensive line performances that you'll see in the NFL. But they reshuffled their line. They got a little bit healthier in Week 8 against the 49ers. They still lost. The 49ers still generated pressure, but it was Alaric Jackson at left tackle, Evans at left guard, Brian Allen at center, upgrade over Cologne, and Ode Obushi at right guard with Havenstein at right tackle. The reason I give you this background is because last week, Week 1 at Seattle, the Rams looked really good up front. And they had some of the same guys. Alaric Jackson was now at left tackle. Havenstein was at right tackle. Noteboom, who got dominated at left tackle by the 49ers in Week 4 last year, is now at guard. Coleman Shelton is the center, and they have a new left guard, Steve Avila. But the Rams allowed only 5 pressures against Seattle all game. And the result was that Matthew Stafford completely tore apart the Seahawks. Threw for 300 plus, was accurate at all levels of the field, and didn't even have Cooper Kupp, who's on IR right now, right? He was throwing to a bunch of no-names. But we've learned this lesson already. The league should have learned this lesson. Matthew Stafford, if he has time to throw, will carve you up. But Matthew Stafford, if he's pressured, just like essentially any NFL quarterback, is going to be a lot worse. Matthew Stafford against heavy 49ers pressure completely falls apart. So the question is this Rams offensive line really better, or was Seattle's pass rush just trash? And I think that we know that Seattle's pass rush isn't very good, at least based on what we knew last year, and it didn't look too good in Week 1 this season. I think we know the 49ers pass rush is either pretty damn good or has a chance to be pretty damn good. So my early take on this game is that the Rams are going to look completely different in Week 2 than they did in Week 1, because the 49ers ain't the Seahawks. The 49ers are a lot better rushing the quarterback than the Seahawks. So Matthew Stafford's 330-yard performance can quickly turn into an ugly showing where he's getting pressured and sacked a lot because the 49ers are just a whole lot better up front. I mean, football is a week-to-week thing, and unfortunately for the Rams, they don't get to play the Seahawks every single week. The Rams generally have had the Seahawks number in the past, and I think it's because Seattle just doesn't have the pass rush to get it done against this Rams team, even when the Rams haven't been great up front. Now, so the Rams offensive line is different with a couple familiar faces from when the 49ers dominated them last year. We will see what this season's story brings. Other side of the football, well, again, I just mentioned it. Brock Purdy is the number one QBR after week 1. Brock Purdy was really, really damn good. Matthew Stafford was really, really damn good. The question is, who can block better? Who can better set their quarterback up for success? Last week, the 49ers did a decent enough job. They established the run. Obviously, several passing concepts went off of that. But when I say decent enough, that obviously means it wasn't great. That obviously means that right side of the line was a problem between Spencer Burford and Colton McKivitz. 10 pressures total allowed by the right side of the 49ers offensive line. When big number 99, Aaron Donald, is on the other side, that can be problematic. It was problematic against Pittsburgh. The 49ers just did so much else right against the Steelers. So, moving forward, though, they're going to get targeted even more on that right side. Opponents now, they had some film from last year, but now opponents have more film, especially on McKivitz, and they're definitely going to try to capitalize on that. So I absolutely think this game comes down to blocking, how both teams do in the trenches. The Rams, they haven't been able to do anything against the 49ers when they've been overmatched up front. When the 49ers have lost some juice up front, that's when Matthew Stafford has been able to attack. Now, McVay's going to try to minimize the 49ers advantage up front with a quick passing game, but that's where Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, the linebackers, the stack monsters, all those guys come in, right? They have to chase down the screens, they have to chase down the quick game, they have to smother the quick game and not allow any yards after the catch. But I think the 49ers absolutely have the personnel to make sure that happens. So it just does absolutely go back to square one. If you do win at the line of scrimmage, you will win this game between the 49ers and the Rams. Obviously back in San Francisco today. Pittsburgh was fun yesterday, but I think the North Beach is a little cooler. You can see the Italian flag on the lamppost there. And then obviously I mentioned at the top of this show, that behind me is the Francis Ford Coppola building, Cafe Zoetrope underneath there. And you can also see Transamerica Pyramid. Still getting used to the gimbal here. I want to debut it on a live at some point. Well, I actually did use it on the live stadium tour of Pittsburgh, but a city live, it's a little bit tougher because you've got a few more things around you. But we could step out here. There we go. Getting better with this sucker. We got to get the money shot here in San Francisco, which is the Transamerica Pyramid, which is right, well, coming up this way. There you go. Columbus Street in North Beach.